Sometimes you gotta pop out and sue people. Anyways, hi, what's up? Insert generic intro and requests for favors and ads and all that other stuff here. Chapter one: Stop searching for people while your wounds go untreated. Stop searching for people while your wounds go untreated. A relationship is not surgery. A new friend group is not a nervous system transplant. A baby is not a reset button. A pet is not a personality update. A community is not a cure if you are joining it with the same unhealed programming that keeps putting you in the same situation with a different face. A lot of people are not looking for connection, they're looking for pain relief. That is where the danger starts, because when the person refuses to heal, they do not just carry pain, they become a distribution center for it. They enter relationships, workplaces, families, homes, friendships, group chats, churches, communities, and social media spaces with open wounds leaking on everybody around them. Then when someone reacts to the infection, they say, "You change." No, they got exposed. There is a difference. Research has language for some of this. Chronic stress over time is often discussed through allostatic load, which is basically the wear and tear created when the body keeps adjusting to repeated stress. The Jneworleans translation is simple. Your nervous system was not designed to keep clocking in for emergencies you keep calling normal. Stop it. Stop it. People underestimate the range of dysfunction. They think dysfunction only affects the person doing it. That is a cute bedtime story. In real life, dysfunction has fumes. It enters the air. It affects the room. It lowers the standard. It forces responsible people to spend extra energy navigating things they never created. Put one regulated person between two chaotic homes and watch how quickly peace becomes a full-time job. On one side, you have a house looking like it survived three pandemics and a custody battle with no legal representation. More people than square footage, more cars than logic, grass dead from being treated like a parking lot. The home has been decaying since move-in day, and everyone nearby gets to inherit the visual side effects. You got to love those neighbors. On the other side, grandma and grandpa's house has turned into the neighborhood event center. Every week there are more cars than driveway, more noise than consideration, and someone blocking access to the driveway like the street came with assigned seating. Not a person in the middle is not just living. They're managing anger, boundaries, documentation, whether to call, report, ignore, pray, confront, breathe, or move. That is not being dramatic. That is environmental stretch. Research on neighborhood disorder connects perceived neighborhood problems with depression risk. And neighborhood level stress research has looked at cortisol because the body responds to the environment, not just thoughts. Your body does not say, well, technically that chaos belongs to the neighbor. The nervous system just receives the signal. So this is why I'm telling you, and I say dysfunction is contagious, not always intentionally, but sometimes just being exposed to it. A person can be clean, disciplined, peaceful, and minding their business. But if the surrounding ecosystem is chaotic, they'll catch strays every day. A messy person does not have to touch your house to affect your life. A reckless neighbor does not have to enter your driveway to steal your peace. A toxic coworker does not have to be your friend to alter your blood pressure. A dysfunctional family member does not have to live with you to make your nervous system answer the phone differently when their name pops up. That is the part people miss. Dysfunction does not need permission to become expensive. Shadow work. Shadow work showed me something. A younger version of me would have handled both houses completely different. One house would have gotten every code enforcement, police, sanitation department number I could find, because at some point filth becomes community pollution with an address. The other house would have learned the gospel of tickets and tow trucks. Block the driveway no more. Park legal no more. Respect neighbors no more. But shadow work is not about pretending you don't have that side. It is about no longer letting that side drive your life. The old me wanted immediate correction. The healing me understands energy economics, because even when you're right, escalation has a cost. Even when the law agrees with you, the process drains you. Documentation takes energy. Civil conversations take energy. Holding your tongue takes energy. Calling the right department, waiting for accountability takes energy. Remaining regulated when someone else is committed to being inconsiderate takes energy. That extra energy adds up across a lifetime. People love to say just ignore it. That advice usually comes from people who have never had to ignore something every day. Ignoring one incident is patience. Ignoring a pattern is labor. But I'm thinking for y'all when I say that civil conversations take energy, babe, because it ain't nothing to sue that. They got a song that say it ain't nothing to cut that bitch off. It ain't nothing to sue them people off, I guess. Because the words I would have said was profanity, but nah, it's unnecessary for the day. Chapter whatever, the body keeps the receipt. Drama and trauma do not just affect your mood, they affect your body's operating system. The body keeps score. They actually have a psychology book by the name of that, The Body Keeps Score. I haven't read it. I would have read it if I organically found it, but somebody told me I should read it. And when people tell me I should read stuff, I will never read it. Just like when people tell me I should watch a TV show, that's the best way for me not to watch it. But it also keeps receipts, screenshots, timestamps, and backup files. Every unnecessary conflict, every financial scare, every layoff rumor, every family crisis, every betrayal, high, followed by a low, every season of barely sleeping but still performing. The nervous system logs all of that. Some illnesses are not preventable. That part needs compassion and not blame, but a person should still give their body a fighting chance. A body that is rested, nourished, regulated, and supported is not fighting from the same position as a body that has been running on fumes, caffeine, resentment, overdraft, anxiety, and survival mode for 10 years. This is why sickness hits hardworking people like bricks. Many were not healthy, they were just functioning. There is a difference. Functional means you can still go to work. Healthy means your body is not begging for a ceasefire while you answer emails. And off script, baby, if y'all sit down, I mean really everybody, it don't matter, but especially if you sit down for a job, please make sure you're doing leg stretches. You're keeping your hips opened up, because I learned the hard way, baby. When you call yourself trying to do, like for me, physical therapy, or like the people like to go to the gym, if you have closed hips, that is why leg day leads to knee pain, because your hips is supposed to open up a certain level when you're using your glutes. And when we sit down all day, it teaches our hips to stay like this, versus it's supposed to be able to go like that. Even though I know we live in a fragile masculinity society, so I'm sure most men know I ain't gonna be up there, but I leg to the gym. And then when you get old, if you get old, because anyways, research on adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, show that early adversity can have long-term negative impacts on health, opportunity, and well-being. That matters because many adults are not simply bad at relationships. Some are operating from old injury, fear, neglect, chaos, and old survival strategies that never got updated. Chapter whatever. Stop adding people to a burning house. I think this might be chapter 5, should be. Maybe what? It say 4, so chapter 4, I guess. Are they meeting the healed you, the healing you, the hiding you, hungry for validation you, lonely child running the show you, the I know better, but I want what I want you? That matters. Every new connection requires energy. You have to learn people's patterns, study their values, observe their consistency, test their boundaries, understand how they handle conflict, watch how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Pay attention to what they normalize. This is not paranoia. That is adult discernment. Now, granted, it may feel like paranoia, because once you realize, especially if you grew up in bad environments, it definitely does feel like that, because majority rules. That's why it was easier to be dysfunctional. But now that the internet is here and everybody gets to shove their life down your face, you kind of see that, oh, there's more. And it makes you feel like you're missing out. But then you don't want to miss out on the people you with. But then some people may have abandonment issues from childhood that they never really thought about in so long, that they just created habits. And those habits have been around so long, they just marked it as, oh, that's just how I am. When wounds are untreated, discernment gets replaced by familiarity. The person does not choose what is healthy, they choose what feels known. That is how people end up with the same situation, different person, different partner, same emotional roller coaster. Different friend group, same betrayal. Different job, same disrespect. Different church, same manipulation. Different city, same internal weather. At some point, the pattern is not chasing you, it is riding with you. Like Lion King 2 said, it lives in you. They say he lives in you, but I don't know what your gender is, so I just say it lives in you. Because if you're a woman, what would I like telling a woman he lives in you, or telling the man she lives in you? You know what I'm saying? Healing is not isolation. That needs to be clear. Social connection is deeply important to health, and major research has found strong social relationships are associated with lower mortality risk. The issue is not connection itself. The issue is using people as anesthesia instead of doing the recovery work. Connection can heal, dependency can hide, community can strengthen, crowds can distract, love can support recovery, but love cannot do your inner work for you. And baby, stop watching the news. If the news ain't giving you nothing that make your day better, turn that shit off. Because the stuff they be telling y'all, especially things that have nothing to do with you or your life, you getting upset for what? Do you know how much emotional energy anger takes on the body? So the fact that people just give their emotional energy away to stuff, and not to mention, there are 8 billion people on this planet, probably more since this video. So letting one stranger get you all down or mad or whatever, baby, if everybody was on the internet, y'all would be in the crazy house because y'all would have reasons to be mad every day. And you also have to question, why do certain things make the news? If you look at statistics on everything that happens, most things are in the thousands when it comes to crimes, situations. Some things is in the tens of thousands. So you have to wonder, why did this one story make it to the news? And then you also have to stop falling for manipulation. They repealed a law from the 80s that prevented the news from spreading propaganda, which means that since the 90s, the news has been able to do whatever they want. And whatever channel is affiliated with whatever type of people, that's the type of news they spread. And the news is always going to be from that view. So it's basically essentially just a $1 billion industry of messy bitches. That's like the person at work come and tell you something to piss you off. Oh, you heard what happened? So we're adults now. For the people that's grown, you have too much in your story to be worried about this stuff. None of these people are coming to save you, especially if it's a person that feel like something is short in their life. You cannot call none of these people. Stop giving away empathy to everybody. Like it's really insanity at this point. Not to mention, if it makes you angry, that is the point. Anger unchecked and too frequent in a person, it turns you crazy. It turns you violent. It turns you angry. You could be manipulated. Like, stop playing with your emotions. If a person do or say something and your emotions come out, you need to question, what do they gain from me feeling like this? Because it's always something to be gained, even if it's something just as simple as making it go viral or rage baiting or making it a hot topic or a trending topic. Stop falling for the bait. Like, man, look, because I don't care what I write. I don't give a hoot nanny about a damn thing, because I can't do anything about it. And if I can do something about it, should I do something about it? Is it my situation to do? Because for me, I paid my dues. I've given majority of the blessings I've gotten in life to where I didn't have anything and I should have had everything, because I made more than enough money. I've achieved more than enough things to what my little fall off period should have never happened. But being big old generous, I saw the downfall of that. And during them downfalls, I ate it up. I didn't cry. I didn't get on the internet. Nobody do nothing for me. Most people didn't even know my downfall periods was even here. If I reactivate Instagram and show y'all the years in question, you wouldn't even know that all of that was going on, because it's not nobody's business. Now, granted, some people are outward people because maybe you were raised that way. Maybe you think it's right because it's done so much on the internet, and then you see people get help. You see people get hundreds of thousands on GoFundMe. So maybe you think that you could be the next one. But that's another video coming up too, about being vulnerable online is so dangerous, because the internet is forever. It's actually worse than getting a charge, because at least with a charge, if it's less than a violent crime, usually you only have to worry about it for 7 years. And in some states, you can get it removed. But when you do something on the internet, you cannot remove that, because how many people then reposted it, cropped it, shared it, clipped it, flipped it, and reversed it? Like, external validation is expensive rent. Outside validation feels good because it pays fast. A compliment hits quick. Attention hits quick. A text back hits quick. A like, share, repost, invite, flirt, apology, or I miss you can hit the nervous system like direct deposit. Meanwhile, for me, it's the exact opposite, baby. I could do without notifications. My screen time, my average screen time this week is 43 minutes on my phone. So yeah. And that's only me using the phone for stuff that is on the phone, like the gym pass and all of this other stuff, tap to pay and stuff like that. But fast money is not always stable income. When your self-worth lives outside of you, everybody becomes a landlord. They raise the rent with silence. They evict you with rejection. They renovate your mood with one opinion. They turn your peace into a month to month lease. Research on contingencies of self-worth looks at how people base self-esteem on different domains. More external forms of self-worth tend to be linked with worse well-being, while internal forms can be unrelated or more positively related to well-being. That matches what life teaches. When your worth depends on applause, silence feels like violence. This is why wounded people chase people. They're not always chasing love. Sometimes they're chasing evidence. Evidence that they matter, that they're wanted, that they're abandoned. Somebody sees them. The problem is that no amount of outside evidence can repair an internal verdict you refuse to challenge. 1,000 people can clap, and an unhealed person will still hear the one person who did not. They do that on the internet all of the time. 2,000 blessings can be sitting in front of them, but one inconvenience gets a $10 million record deal, a social media tour, a documentary, merch, and a deluxe album inside their mind. That is not just negativity. That is trained attention. Pain taught them what to scan for. Healing teaches them what to stop worshiping. And it's so draining if it's people that raise you or around you and you try to hold on to the promises you made as a kid. When I get older, I'm going to do this for everyone. I'm going to do that for everyone. But now, but I've been peeped as a kid because I used to always wonder, like, why people don't mess with this person? Why this and this is that way and that's that way, but other regular people live like this and this. So I've been peeped. But now I really, I really see arrested development in adult bodies. Some adults are not making decisions. Their urges are, their wounds are, their impulses are, their childhood is, their loneliness is, their desire for attention is, their fear of abandonment. The body grew, but the software stayed in beta. That is why arrested development adults often act first and think when consequences arrive. They move off appetite, mood, fantasy, lust, full of lust and ready to bust. Shout out to the cheaters out there. And I'm not talking about a feline. Fear, ego, or revenge, then look shocked when life sends an invoice. The wild part is that many people only develop a conscience after accountability shows up. Before consequences, there is no reflection. During consequences, there is confusion. After consequences, here comes the apology tour. Now everyone has to hear about their childhood, their stress, intentions, trauma, growth, journey, and how they never meant to hurt anybody. But impact does not disappear because intentions gets a publicist. A person can be wounded and still be responsible for the wounds they create. That is where many people get stuck. They want their pain to explain them and excuse them at the same time. Baby, you want your pain to excuse you if you playing with me? I'm going to give you some pain to excuse. And that's the... I'm sorry. Anyways, explanation can create understanding. Excuses create repeat customers. Misery has a marketplace now. Modern platforms learn something dangerous. Misery scales, outrage travels, fear gets engagement, humiliation becomes content, scandal becomes a business model, beef becomes programming, celebrity dysfunction becomes a substitute for purpose. A person can spend 4 hours watching lives, reactions, rumors, relationship breakdowns, court updates, cheating stories, downfall videos, and strangers arguing with strangers about strangers. Then they log off feeling informed. No, they are emotionally contaminated. They consume chaos and called it awareness. Research online, look, I'm jumping my own slides. Research online content helps explain why this happens. One study found moral, like morals, moral, emotional language increased diffusion in online social networks. And another found negative online news articles were more likely to be shared to social media. A pre-registered audit of Twitter/X style engagement ranking found algorithms can amplify emotionally charged outgroup hostile content compared with reverse chronological feeds. The street version is simple. The algorithm knows your wound has a watch history. It knows what keeps you angry, what keeps you checking, what topic makes you forget about your goals, which creator can turn your misery into a niche, which community will make your resentment feel like research. That is the danger of online misery communities. Some spaces help people heal, others help people rehearse pain with better vocabulary. There is a difference between support and co-rumination, which rumination, the definition of rumination is a deep or considered thought about something, the act or process of thinking deeply. Research on co-rumination shows that repeatedly dwelling on problems within friendships can be tied to depressive symptoms and even depression contagion under certain conditions. That means a group can feel validating while still keeping everybody emotional stuck. I'm so grateful that I broke my back being the one carrying relationships, because then when I decided to drop the relationships, they just fell like dominoes. You have your people come through the cracks every now and then and hit you up. But if you notice, people are creatures of habit. So once you fall out of somebody's habit chain, if social media don't remind them that you exist, they almost never will think about you naturally, unless either you the sugar friend like I was, or the sugar family member like I was. And which is so funny because one of my cousins, when we had a Twitter misunderstanding, she tried to, when I roasted her, I'm not gonna repeat what I said, but her rebuttal was, "Oh, you be tricking on everybody." Like, that's an insult. Like, you're in my cash history too. So every space is not safe. Some are storage units for unprocessed trauma. Some people are not leading you to freedom. They are decorating the cell. They lure you in with relatability, then slowly work you over to their personal hell. They glamorize inaction, normalize bitterness, make healing look like betrayal. They teach you to identify defendants in every story, everybody else's case, while ignoring the fact that you're a defendant in someone else's story. That is how misery becomes identity. But also, too, a lot of also twos. I should have a shirt that say that also too. If you are in a situation, be it a job, family, friends, even if the people around you are in the same situation, I have bad news. Some of those people, I don't know everyone in the world, but a good bit of people who share misery with you, they try to one up themselves from you. So a lot of people be acting like they're annoyed with people telling them stuff. And that's why they get, like, people who give you dry advice or act like they ain't hearing you, or you got to keep saying hello to make sure them people don't give a fuck about you. They care about whatever y'all bond was built off. If you validate them, if you keep them company, if you're the spare tire friend or the spare tire family member, well, when all other people fail, oh, I know so and so sitting at home and ain't doing nothing. Let me call them and make sure they make them accompany me here, or ask them to watch my child, or ask them to watch my pet and stuff like that. And they'll even lie about the other people. Oh, so and so when available, can you do this for me? But no, it's not that. They were available. They just was too pussy to ask them. So I mean, it's heartbreaking at a certain point, and you deserve to have your emotions, but don't make that your life storyline. Like, time does not stop for anybody unless you're me. I stop time and I speed it up. And other people probably could do it too, but I don't know them, so I can't speak for them. But when you get stuck in emotions, all it is a cycle of repeating, because you relive whatever you miserable about every time you talk about it. You might could get away with thinking about it if you could push it away or meditate fast enough, or get up and walk, or start twerking if you're into that, or start cooking or something, start singing or something. Maybe hug your child or your man or your woman or a tree, whatever. But it's not cool. Look at the people online. Look at the men online. Look at the men who sit and drag for women all day. Look at all of these celebrities who couldn't keep women and was abusing women. Look how bad they look. Like all this money that everybody worship, but these people still look like a bag of rotten potatoes. So please don't do that to yourself. Like I feel like I don't care how I feel about people, I still have enough humanity to realize that people shouldn't feel a certain way. Unless I like if I don't care about how you feel, that means I made you feel that way. But I don't make people feel that way. I'm retired and I'm untouchable. So nobody's gonna be in a sparring war with me unless we in court. And I don't think anybody has enough money for me to be in court with them. Not on no shady stuff. I'm not a bully. I'm not gonna sue regular people. Like, I mean, unless it's a defamation suit, but celebrity culture is a black hole. Celebrity culture can become a black hole because it offers endless emotional stimulation without personal elevation. Beefs, rumors, scandals, breakups, court cases, soft launches, hard launches, unfollows, clapbacks, exes. I remember that. Maybe an unfollow, especially from somebody you thought you was cool with in real life. That felt like somebody, like a shot to the heart, a shot in the dark, like that. But then towards the end of my social media career, I didn't even care no more because what I realized is these people were lame anyway. I knew they was lame in real life, but I didn't look at them as lame because I was a non-judgmental person. But once I started judging people, word to Judy, like I'm like these people are lame, and hoes is neutral in New Orleans. It's not a particular gender. These people are lame. Like, why am I even wasting my time with these bums? Especially the ones who go above and beyond to please the internet and their whole life is in shambles. Like clapbacks, exes, side characters, apology notes, publicists typing like pastors. Everyone gets invested in people they cannot help, access, correct, and cannot become. Hours disappear. The nervous system gets activated. Opinions become strong. Productivity goes missing. Meanwhile, your own life is sitting in the corner waiting for funding. That is the trick. Celebrity dysfunction gives people a way to feel involved without being responsible. You can judge the stranger and avoid the mirror. You can diagnose the famous person and ignore the pattern in your house. You can debate their relationship while yours is on life support. A person must ask, is this content helping me build? Is it teaching me emotional regulation? Does it display healthy living? Are there resources, context, nuance, or solutions? Or is it just feeding the part of me that wants to feel right, angry, superior, entertained, or distracted? And also, if you have kids in your family or if you have children, watch them interact with each other and see how similar it is to what you see on the internet from grown-ass people. Or if you don't have children, watch a TV show with children in there and watch how they act. It looks just like the comment section, and it spells just like the comment section. Yeah. Not on my channel, though. I'm talking about them channels where people would be arguing over celebrities, because it's like, if you're arguing, that means that your opinion is something and the person's opinion is something else. Why is that an argument? Like, that's not going to change anything. I don't understand how most people didn't even care about the debate team only to become adults and form their own debate team. And it's like, it's not even an actual debate because you're supposed to be able to hit a other party. People go straight to insults, and it's so weird because it's the same insults. Like, could y'all at least be creative? Like, do y'all want me to make a video of insults you can trade in comment sections or something? Because it don't even be funny. Like, it's actually annoying to people who think that that's normal. Not me. The American Psychological Association has warned that social media is not automatically good or bad. It affects depends on the person, situation, specific content, and platform features involved. That nuance matters because the issue is not simply internet bad. The issue is unconscious consumption while wounded. And many people on social media, especially the ones who fake miserable, if you one of the hood rich people and you got them big old TVs, which it ain't no, I have a 75 in the living room, so I know how I feel, but you missing out. Do y'all know that they have channels on the internet where they show you different countries? They show you beaches, islands. They have stuff with peaceful sounds. They have lo-fi music. Maybe it's all kinds of other stuff. You like, if you're gonna be on the internet, max out. Remember when people used to have to go to the library and you only had an hour on the computer? Or for the people who had computers at school, you had to stick to a particular thing, or unless you hacked the system like me and took off the blocker, you had to worry about all of the different blocks and not do stuff. Now y'all have free access to see any part of the world. Think about a city, make an imaginary life in your head and look up the information about it. And like have fun. If y'all gonna be imaginary, imagine positive stuff. Not to mention, everyone who let these people gas y'all up about I'm leaving America. Please look up the stats of these other countries because y'all do not know what the hell y'all are getting into. Now, if you leave, that's between you and Key Glock and the U.S. Embassy. But yeah, that's not what y'all want. Like y'all don't realize, y'all do not know what's going on around the world, and y'all do not realize that a lot of countries have worse issues than us. Granted, United States could do better, but you being from here and being used to the stuff that's wrong here is worse than that in these other places. And the places that y'all thinking like Thailand and all of these places with tourist areas, baby, that is the honeymoon season. That's like a person who about to wreck your life the first 5 days you meet them. It's beautiful. But after them 5 days, what happened? Exactly. Humans are social creatures, and in many social creatures, majority rules. That sounds democratic until the majority is dysfunctional. Like you can see that on Reddit. A group can normalize gossip. A family can normalize disrespect. A workplace can normalize burnout. A neighborhood can normalize neglect. A fan base can normalize harassment. A community can normalize delusion. Once a belief gets attached to the group identity, good luck challenging it. People will defend the group before they examine the truth. Social identity research explains how people define themselves through group memberships, and classic conformity research from Solomon Ash showed how group pressure can influence people's judgment even when the correct answer is obvious. We see it on the internet all of the time. That is why unconscious people often think their passion is pure. They say, I just care about the truth. Maybe, but sometimes the truth is not driving. Belonging is, fear is, the lonely child is. The part of them that finally found the group fit after feeling unseen is now guarding that group like oxygen. This is how loneliness gets weaponized. A person who felt afraid, cold, and alone finds a tribe. The tribe gives them language, enemies, rituals, jokes, villains, heroes, and belonging. Suddenly, questioning the group feels like being abandoned all over again. So they become hostile, not because the question is dangerous, because the question touches the wound underneath the belief. The shadow is often against the belief too. The internal battle creates external explosions. Part of them knows something is off. Another part cannot risk losing the group. So they attack the outsider instead of listening to the alarm inside. And also, this is not a retreat. So when you get your enlightenment or whatever feeling the growth, by all means, share whatever way you do, because that's, if you felt that way, you was gonna do that anyway. But understand, baby, everyone is not ready to hear your message just because it's coming from you. And some people will try to minimize you or minimize the blessings you have because they feel some kind of way. So again, this is internal work. Internal work is your business. And other people who maybe could support you along the journey, but be very careful with vulnerability. I don't even understand why they preach people to be vulnerable. Like, it's so dangerous to do that, like super dangerous. And I'm a dangerous person, so you need to listen to me. I'm telling you, it's dangerous because when it comes to people out here, especially because for me, I'm like an anti-manipulator. Like, I'm their worst enemy because I guess they have like little YouTube videos about people who are dangerous to manipulators. Well, they talking about me on there, and I see the way they get away with stuff. And the more information they know, that's the more that they're able to manipulate people. Like, I gotta take it there. Like in the 90s, I'm not gonna say no name, so ain't nobody being put on blast. But it's a few people that let men who went to church to find women prey on them because, oh, I met a man at church, and as soon as he moved in with you, he stopped going to church all of a sudden. One example, I'm gonna leave it at that. People also need to stop pretending financial stress is just adulting. Financial insecurity changes how people breathe. It changes how they sleep, how they love, how they parent, eat, drive, answer emails, look at the future. When layoffs are happening, jobs feel unstable, rent rises, groceries climb, and savings shrink. People are not simply stressed. They are living with threat signals in the background. Research links unemployment and job security with higher risk of mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and psychological distress. A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis found unemployment may increase mental health problems while reemployment may reduce risk, although the authors noted the evidence certainty was low. This matters because wounded people under pressure make riskier choices. They seek comfort faster. They attach quicker. They ignore red flags easier. They confuse relief with compatibility. They accept situations they will reject if they were rested, stable, and clear. Pain wants immediate relief. Healing wants long term freedom. Those two will not always choose the same person. Open your mind after pain. Pain should open your mind, not close it. A painful experience should make you more honest, observant, accountable, spiritually sober, careful with your access, aware of your patterns. Treat yourself like the Epstein files. Redact everything. But many people survive pain and simply become older. No wisdom, no reflection, no upgrade. Just an older version of the same app crashing in different environments. That is why some people keep saying, I cannot believe this happened again. At some point, again is information. Again means there is a pattern. Again means your selection process needs an audit. Again means your boundaries are not boundaries, they are decorative fences. Again means your nervous system may be choosing familiarity while your mouth claims it wants peace. Again means the universe is not picking on you. It may be showing you the loop. Life will always show you the loop. That's why they say the circle of life. The circle of life. Eliminate your contribution to future pain. One of the hardest parts of healing is realizing where you helped create the conditions for your own suffering. That realization can bring a person down, but avoiding it keeps them down. There is a difference between blaming yourself and studying yourself. Blame says, I am bad. I'm bad. I'm bad. You know it. Study said, I need to understand the patterns. Blame creates shame. Study creates strategy. The goal is not to punish yourself for every painful decision. The goal is to eliminate any possibility that your unconscious habits keep signing you up for future pain. Where did I ignore the first sign? Where did I confuse intensity with intimacy? Where did I call chaos chemistry? What did I keep explaining away? Who did I keep giving access to because I wanted their potential instead of their pattern? Because it's very easy to see a person and think about them like a foreclosed home, thinking about how you could put a porch on them and level the house out and put a shed in the backyard with a little canopy and stuff. But in reality, the foreclosed home is you got to take the foreclosed home as is. You can't change it because people don't let you change them. They have to want to change. But you have people out there who pretend that they're changing, which gives you hope, which means they buy time, which means they can get more forgiveness pieces and more passes, hall passes and stuff to run over you. What was I afraid to lose? Which wound made that person attractive? Those questions are not comfortable. They are liberating because once you see the code, you can be updated. Be present or be programmed. Presence is not just a spiritual word. Presence is protection. When you're not present, your urges drive, your background programming steers, your loneliness negotiates, your fear opens doors, your ego starts texting. That's definitely fun. Ego text. Because if you like, this is the thing. If you gonna have a life of dysfunction, get it like when you know that is ending, you better get it out your system. Accept anything that could harm you, somebody you love, or your life, your record, your credit score. But if it's safe, toxicity, get it over with. Get it out your system. Once you get it out your system, then you'll be able to get it over with. But some people kind of have a secret love for certain dysfunction. And you have to admit it before you can let it go. Like, that's one thing about personal growth. You can't lie yourself into growth. You're going to actually destroy yourself. Like the people I know who used to pretend like they grew, they will crash out worse than what they did before they grew. Your wound becomes hiring managers. That is how people end up saying, I do not know why I did that. Actually, you do. You are not driving. Some unhealed part of you grabbed the wheel. Healing requires enough presence to interrupt the automatic response. Not every urge deserves movement. Not every desire deserves a decision. Not every lonely night deserves a text. Not every attraction deserves access. Not every invitation deserves attendance. Not every group deserves loyalty. Not every thought deserves a microphone. That pause is power. A person who can pause can choose. A person who cannot pause is being operated by whatever got programmed before they came conscious. Maybe some people are stuck on repeat because when I used to be on the internet, it used to be the same person who saying people left them hanging and ain't nobody's there for them and they ain't gonna never be there for nobody no more because nobody ain't never there for me. Because they probably asked somebody to borrow $20 and they told them no. Prosperity requires recovery. People want prosperity without recovery. They want abundance while carrying chaos. They want love while avoiding accountability. They want peace while staying addicted to stimulation. They want healthy relationships while refusing healthy boundaries. They want a better life, but keep installing the same old software update called unconscious habits. Prosperity is not just money. Prosperity is regulated breathing, clean surroundings, disciplined attention, good sleep, clear judgment, healthy connection, a nervous system that does not treat every inconvenience like a house fire, a life where your blessings are visible, not buried under the one thing that went wrong. Before searching for more people, search for your patterns. Before adding another relationship, examine your motives. Before joining a new community, ask what version of you is looking for belonging. Before chasing validation, build internal evidence. Before calling it bad luck, check the loop. Because the goal is not to become isolated. The goal is to stop entering connection as an untreated wound looking for a host. Heal enough to recognize peace. Rest enough to choose clearly. Reflect enough to stop repeating. Update the code before you keep downloading people into a corrupted system. Because untreated wounds do not just hurt you, they recruit others into your pain. If you are serious about becoming whole, you cannot keep calling the connection what is really just your trauma looking for company. And back to what I mentioned earlier about being dangerous. Being dangerous is when you're not predictable to people who mean you harm, or people who may be trying to use you, or people in public who may be trying to distract you or lure you somewhere. That's what I mean. Not to mention, half of the time when I'm in public, I disassociate because people be walking around like a bunch of robots with a phone in front of their face in some environments. As far as like the public environments that I don't have control over, like stores and stuff like that. But when it comes to environments that I choose to go to outside of necessity, of course not. And not to mention, the subconscious sees everything. So even if you don't agree with the stuff you watch, or maybe you're watching it for entertainment, it's still not good. Especially the fact that we've been in a financial illiteracy crisis, because that's the whole reason of how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to have people who recklessly spend, and then the people who don't recklessly spend make businesses that the reckless spender spend on, and boom, I'm a millionaire. Boom, I'm a billionaire. Boom, I'm a trillionaire. Word to Musk. So, but these things take time. I mean, and if you made it, if you in this part, definitely 43 minutes. If you hit, and that means that you're interested in this type of stuff. I would assume, but I'm not an assumptive person. Other than that, that is it for this video. Have a great day.